A Dallas healthcare worker diagnosed with the Ebola virus over the weekend has been identified by her family as Nina Pham. I'm Shannon Ray Green, and this is USA Now for October 13th, 2014. The 26-year-old is the most recent victim of Ebola in the U.S. She had cared for Thomas Eric Duncan, who died from Ebola last week. Hers is the first known case of Ebola spreading in the United States. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Chief Thomas Frieden said at a press conference today that he would not be surprised if there were additional cases from people who cared for Duncan. Right now, the CDC is monitoring 48 people who are known to have been in contact with Duncan or suspected to have had contact. Health officials are calling for calm, while other medical experts are criticizing the federal response to the outbreak. Frieden said earlier the nurse got Ebola because of a breach in protocol. Some doctors are saying she is being blamed instead of focusing on a possible failure somewhere else. At the press conference, Frieden clarified that he wasn't blaming her or the hospital. President Obama has asked the CDC investigation of the breach in protocol, quote, move as expeditiously as possible. Frieden said the agency is working with hospitals throughout the country to think Ebola when treating anyone with a fever or other symptoms. The World Health Organization also released a statement today warning against irrational and disorganized efforts to avoid infection. WHO Director General Margaret Chan said the outbreak spotlights the dangers of the world's growing social and economic inequalities. The rich get the best care, the poor are left to die. She said fear spreads faster than any virus. And even though Chan said that people should not panic, many Dallas area residents took to Twitter to voice concerns about Ebola at the hospital and in their neighborhoods. At Mommy2J's tweeted, will nurse be taken to Nebraska to receive best possible care? Presby can't provide it. And Greg Gaylor said, we live within a mile of the Ebola outbreak with an 11-week-old child. Why has Washington not informed us of the nurse's movements? The hashtag took money from Ebola vaccine is now trending on Twitter after National Institutes of Health Director Francis Collins told the Huffington Post that budget cuts have delayed an Ebola vaccine. Collins said it likely would have been ready since the agency had been working on it for nearly a decade. Meanwhile, Louisiana State Attorney General Buddy Caldwell is seeking a temporary restraining order to block the disposal of Ebola waste from coming to a hazardous waste landfill there. It's incinerated waste made up of the personal items and belongings of Thomas Eric Duncan, the victim who died from Ebola in Dallas. At New York's Kennedy International Airport, passengers returning from 3 Ebola-ravaged countries have started going through screening on Saturday. It's the first of 5 airports who will test the temperatures of passengers flying in from Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. The others are Newark Liberty, Washington Dulles, Chicago O'Hare, and Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. In Minnesota, Governor Mark Dayton and Senators Amy Klobuchar and Al Franken want the International Airport in Minneapolis to also start screening. The 3 politicians wrote a letter to the CDC. The Twin Cities are home to large numbers of immigrants from West Africa. Stay with USAtoday.com for the latest news as it happens in this international developing story on the Ebola outbreak.